All right, folks, so hopefully you're feeling pretty confident with this idea of variables. What I would like to show you now is how variables can be kind of interplugged into the idea of turtle graphics. One of the most beautiful things about programming is everything you learn in this course can be interoperated or interexchanged or combined with basically everything else that we've learned. So Chapter 1 combines with Chapter 8, Chapter 7 combines with Chapter 3, Chapter 9 combines with Chapter 2, which combines with Chapter 5 and 6, and so forth. Everything kind of like interweaves together. And that's one of the beautiful things about programming, is because if you can imagine it, you can make it happen. It's just instructions that play with each other very, very nicely. All right, so let's look at this program. This is nothing special. This is just making a square and coloring it in. You'll notice I've changed the color of the square to red. What if I needed to make a more advanced type of program, but I want to use this as kind of like a proof of concept, right? Like, hey, can I make something so that a non-programmer could look at this code and say, hey, you know what? I think I could modify a couple of those things. Some of our graphics codes may be hundreds and hundreds of lines long, so we're going to start with a simple idea, and hopefully you kind of connect the dots to see how this could be useful. So the first thing I want to do is create a variable. Naming your variables is actually a really, really important thing. If you have bad names for your variables, you are not going to be able to track your code and see what it does. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to make a variable square underscore color, and its value, in quotes, is red. Now, this doesn't dictate what color our square is yet, but remember what we learned from variables, right? If you look at the variable name, you can see the attached value to it. So I'm going to go into my code that says t1.color red. Let's get rid of that, quotations and all. And we're going to take square color, we're going to copy it, and we're going to paste it inside. So now, when Python turtle graphics gets all the way down to this line, it's going to say, okay, I need to change my color to square color. What is square color? Oh, I know it's red up here. So we run it, nothing really fancy happens. But this is where that usability comes in, right? If my friend, who's never touched a piece of code before, looks up here and says square underscore color equals red, they could probably guess that if they changed it to blue, oh, look at that. Changing the first line of code allows the user to change the color to whatever they want. All right, we try running it pink, click run, and look at that. We get exactly what we're asking it for. All right, so when I run this again, I'm just going to use green, a little bit easier to see. We have another feature that we can look at though, right? Look at how large this square is. What number on here determines the size of the square, all right? It's not right 90, that's how we get those 90-degree angles. The actual one is forward 100, all right? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to say square underscore size equals 100. This time, no quotes. In the next unit, this is all going to make sense. But for now, we're just kind of understanding, numbers that have to do with math, right? Moving forward 100 steps, that's pretty mathematical. So we're going to drop the quotes for now. Now watch what I do here. I'm going to take square size. I'm not going to just put it in one of these values. I'm actually going to put it into every forward command. Again, we run it. Same thing as normal. Nothing really different happens. But watch what happens when I change the square size up here to 25. And we run. Oh, look at that, a smaller square, right? We could make this larger, make it 200. We might go off screen. No, we didn't, we're good. We're just at the edge of the screen, all right? But what's nice about this now is we can adjust the color and the size of the square in the first two lines of code, and then we never have to worry about anything below here. Right? We can use commented code, do not edit below this line, so that way if somebody else happens to pick up our code, they can look and be like, oh, okay, I guess I'm not supposed to go anywhere past here. That's okay. Look what I have up here. I can change the color and I can change the size of my square. Right? This is something that really, really opens up a lot of doors, because now you could create a program that with turtle graphics draws a display sign. And you could, instead of using a color and a size, You could use the date, you could use the temperature outside, you could use the day of the week, you could use the month, you could have all of these different values up here to change. And somebody who's never operated with code before knows, don't touch anything below here. That is the sacred code, we don't touch that. But the stuff up here is fair game to be modified and changed as we please. All right? This opens up a lot of doors and really allows us to do some ideas of having like a settings panel at the top of our code, so we don't have to look through all this code. Again, 21 lines of code, whatever. We're going to be able to find what we want. What if I gave you a graphics program that had 16,000 lines of code? I bet you would appreciate the top panel settings a little bit more than something as small as this much code. All right, so have some fun with this. Take some of your previous projects and your drawings and see if you can kind of change things. If you drew a snowman, maybe you could go back and edit it so that people can change the color of the eyes, the color of the hat, the color of the nose. You could change the size of the circles. Might require a little bit of creativity, but you could do a bunch of neat stuff with this and really have some fun. So try it out, have some fun. Remember, everything is interoperable, meaning that you can plug everything you learned from one chapter into another, and it should work flawlessly, or you just gotta play around with it till it works.